Marcus Smart is, without a doubt, better than Tyus Jones. Like, that's not even debatable, that he's a much higher ilk player than Tyus Jones is. You're talking about a guy who's had playoff experience, who's performed in the playoffs. Just being honest, everyone loves Tyus. Tyus has not performed in the playoffs his entire run being here. I think that we saw the value of Tyus Jones to the NBA last night. And I think we saw it last year as well. When he hit the open market, there were no big offers for Tyus Jones. The Grizzlies brought him back without opposition. He was I think he was an unrestricted free agent, if I'm not mistaken. And Tyus Jones signed a contract for 2 years, $30 million with the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yep.
But no opposition. There was no other team that was really willing to throw money at Tyus Jones. When you were trying to dangle Tyus Jones and multiple first-round picks, probably with another, player, but like where you're talking about Santi Aldama, where you're talking about, Zaire Williams, whoever you're talking about, it obviously didn't get you the guys that you were going after, whether that's Cam Johnson, that's OG Anunoby, whoever you're talking about. You didn't even see a Dorian Finney-Smith trade happen. None of those things seem to be available. That's because you have got several guys on your roster that don't really have any trade value. They're still super developmental talent. I'm convinced that teams were reluctant to make moves with the Grizzlies, and I think it's clearly why. I think I clearly know why. I think I clearly see why. I think they watched the same playoffs that we all watched, and you saw a team like Denver who had a guard, superstar big, and everyone else who was on the court was wings, combo forwards. That's today's NBA. And I'm not mad that Brooklyn has Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Mikal Bridges, and Royce O'Neal. And they're like, hey, we're going to run all these dudes. All these dudes are going to play. That's what a lot of people are doing. Miami, it was your jumbo guard, your big wing, and Jimmy Butler, a big and a bunch of versatile, wings and combo forwards. That's all they had on the court. So I can definitely see teams like Toronto. That's their strategy too. We want to have a surplus of these switchable, big, versatile wings, and those guys are hard to come by, and teams are not letting them go. And the Grizzlies basically were like, hey, I don't think Marcus Smart was. It's obvious he wasn't, priority number one.
Right.
But I think he's a hell of a consolation prize for sure, and I'm excited about it. Glad to see him here with the Memphis Grizzlies team. Super excited about a guy who can, play backup. He could guard any wing position. There are going to be times where he's going to get killed by taller guys. It just is what it is. But guess what? Those guys are cooking everybody. It is what it is, man. You know what I mean? So I think the Grizzlies could possibly make another move. The only thing that, like I said again, that makes me pause that is that I think that the Grizzlies still want to develop guys like a Zaire Williams, like a David Roddy, like Jake LaRavia, like Vince Williams.
Yep.
I think you want to try to maximize those guys, get those guys some value, so you can possibly package them with a first-round pick to consolidate your roster even more, or to make players out of them, man. Like you said, with Miami, those guys at the end of your bench, the Jake LaRavias, the Zaire Williams, the David Roddies, the Vince Williams, those type of guys, that's who Miami was in the NBA Finals with, those type of guys that they drafted, developed. And those guys in Miami are only like a year or so ahead, developmental-wise, time-wise, of those guys. So I can see Zach Kleiman seeing it like, well, yeah, let's just ride with Marcus Smart being our guy who's guarding the best player on the other end, so I can still develop a Zaire Williams, or I can still develop a Jake LaRavia. Because if you go get that other guy, those guys' development is going to be stunted.
1,000%.
Period.
Marcus Smart doesn't stunt any development of those guys.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If you get Smart, you can still get Zaire some minutes, get Roddy some minutes. And I think those guys are worth looking at, man.
Me too, man.
You know what I mean? Like, I can see it either way. But if you go get a Harrison Barnes, Zaire, David Roddy, they're cheerleaders. They're not going to get a ton of minutes at all. They're going to be cheerleaders. So